Okay, well, this car has just been MOT'd a little over a day ago. Everything seems to be in order, and so it's a year since I did the last walk around, and I'm going to do a similar thing, but I'm going to include things that people have asked for. So first thing to do is to just drive off in the car very gently. All the specifications you'll already know from last year's walk around, so I won't go over all that again. Basically, this is the first year of the Arnage. This is a fairly basic model, and the later models had a lot more spec, but I didn't want a lot of spec, and I also didn't want the L series 6.75 litre engine. So this car was designed and built in Crewe, but the engine was taken from a 4.4 litre V8 BMW and then sent off to Cosworth Engineering to be completely sorted, and they added twin turbos and reconfigured the engine to produce a smooth but fairly powerful unit. And this is the one I actually wanted and chose. I didn't want the old L series engine. I had the smaller 6.3 unit in my Silver Cloud, and I think that was the best configuration. Because it's wet liner, you couldn't bore it, so they stroked it to 6.75, and there were all sorts of problems with head gaskets which I didn't really sort out until they came up with the Bentley T series a few years later. Excuse me. So we'll just back up and do the usual little look round, and I'll include things that people have asked about. One person in particular wanted to see more of the interior, so I'll do what I can. It is a basic car. It hasn't got any of the latest specifications with regard to sat navs and various things that sit up here. This one's got a Pioneer radio that does include a sat nav that someone's put in, nothing to do with me, and I know it works. It's probably a little bit out of date, and I fit a reversing camera because this is a long beast, and there are reversing sensors on the car, but not many. So anyway, I put the reversing camera in, which is that screen. So a quick look round on the dash, fairly straightforward, all the things you'd expect. Oil pressure, volts, fuel, clock, and temperature. And when everything's okay, most of the needles will be more or less upright, to give you a clue. There you've got heating both sides, separately controlled, so you've got separate fan controls for each side. You can select what you want. You don't have to pull levers, you just press buttons for each thing that you want. Again, usual sorts of stuff that you get in any car of that era. Lots of interior lights everywhere, on timers and various things. Down here there are the windows, electric windows. These are the seat controls, more seat controls, seat heating, and you can program it in with a memory if you want to. I'm not bothered. So that's pretty well it. You get one key that controls everything for the glove compartment. Vents are lovely little chrome knobs to control the vents. Everything is really quite nicely done. Even the headlining is done in leather, which is a good thing because my Silver Cloud had wool cloth interior and the moths got at it, which was a bore. Anyway, it's all in pretty good condition. I've treated all the seats and looked after it. Ventilation is good, heating is really good, has all the usual stuff. Mirror controls down there, gear lever selector, sport button. Put the sport button on and it reconfigures the gearing when the gears are selected on the auto box, 4-speed auto box. And it's all looking really very nice. It was quite well looked after, which is, you know, what I bought it for. So a quick look in the back. First I have to undo the central locking. And yes, you've got a fairly roomy rear. You've got seat controls just to your, well, I've got the button pressed, you can see the seats moving. Some of the better equipped ones have more seat controls. Again, you've got the ability to select the heating for your own requirements. There's a knob there. If you want it cooler than the front, you can have it, and usual sorts of stuff there. This is a cup holder, similar arrangement at the front. This is for a phone, that part of things. You know, you've got all that kind of nonsense for phones. Back in those days, phones were massive, you might remember. And again, there's a phone clip. Phone long gone, I guess. Very comfy, but as I say, basic spec. If you want more spec, you get better lighting. You get mirrors up here, which is what I had on my Silver Cloud, and you get picnic trays, which I also had on the Silver Cloud, and only ever used once, but they did look nice. Other than that, usual sorts of nonsense for smokers, speakers, you know, controls generally. I haven't really had too many problems with anything inside. Just fiddling about with some of the seat motors was a requirement, but other than that, nothing. Slight problem I've had with the left-hand side window. The window lifters on my Cloud, and possibly the Shadow, I'm not sure, were chain driven and really sophisticated, and the window lifters on this are cable operated in a large Bowden cable. And I found that if the window on this left hand side was lifted to the maximum, it could foul the actuated mechanism for the central locking, and I didn't learn that until I stripped the whole side out, which was a bit of a palaver. You need the right tools really to remove the door cards without damaging anything, and you also need a box spanner to get up in here. There's a couple of nuts that you need to get out, so little box spanner up there, not sure what size the box is, whiz those off, and then very carefully with a special tool you can ease out the door card without breaking the plastic. And once I got it to bits, I saw what was happening. The window actuator was fouling the central locking, and I adjusted the cabling, the cable motor slightly, so that hopefully that won't happen again. But if anyone does have that problem, that's the first thing to look at, the cable operating the window. Other than that, everything's pretty standard, you know, like any other sort of reasonable car of this type. Lovely little chrome features here and there. Other than that, I think that will do for the inside. So whoever asked to see the inside, there you go. Now then, there are buttons here for the petrol cap, and there's one for the boot. But you can select that if you want it. I don't actually want that feature. People say, well, how would you choose one? And I can only speak for this one, really. And incidentally, I use the key to open the boot, because if you use the press button, this gets a bit stiff. When I first got it, I had to take that out and lubricate it. So the first thing I would look for, if I was buying one of these, and this only applies to this green label, I would look for the Bentley battery charger, which is here. If it hasn't got the Bentley battery charger, I would walk away. Now that seems a bit silly, but you've got twin batteries on this thing, and when it's stood, there is a discharge, quite a discharge to all the electronics. And so if, like me, you don't use this for long periods, you do need to have a decent battery charging system, and this one's really good. I'll leave this cable connected. You can disconnect it. You just pop the connector in here, and it goes through a charging sequence, and it charges both batteries. And I do that on a weekly basis. Run the car, charge the batteries. And somebody else asked me, well, what do you do about this discharge? Because people have been leaving their cars permanently on charge because they have this problem. So I will show you what I did. Just pop that there. There's two clips here. Undo those two clips, and this comes up, and it fits there. So, toolbox, twin batteries. Oh dear, something went down the wrong way. I checked this out, the tool system. You'll very rarely find all the tools there. It's the first thing people walk away with. Anyone working on these things will possibly take some of the tools with them. But you need the basics, you know, the things that enable you to change your wheel. These are wheel chocks. You get a fair selection of bits and pieces, little ratchets and various bits and pieces. As I say, this one is missing quite a bit. And it was exactly the same with my Cloud. Anyway, two batteries, and if you leave this for any length of time, they can discharge and make starting possibly tricky. So the first thing I did was put in battery isolators. So if I get back here, there's a battery isolator. That's off, that's on. You can take the key out. Once you've got the key out of these things, no one's going to steal it because there is no electronics.